Alrighty, let's hope it's not gonna rain.
Yeah, I hope so.
Hey, thanks for taking time. Thanks for offering your time here.
You're welcome, Peter. This is great, man.
In your beautiful area with your unique car.
Yeah.
Very unique
It's different.
car.
Different.
What's the story behind?
Well, it goes back to New Jersey in the 80s. My uncle, Uncle Rock, lives in California. Very cool uncle. He had one of these, green, just like this. It was a 240. So he had a house, a rental house. He'd pick me up to go to do construction, the weekend projects like roofing, whatever. And my biggest thing was looking forward, not how much I'm going to get paid at the job or whatever thing. My biggest excitement was him picking me up in a 1970 something Datsun green 240Z. The smell of the inside, the sound of it, the torque, just the beautiful Japanese like minimalistic car, you know.
Minimalistic.
it's
That's
just-
the good word.
Yeah, and it's handling compared to things in the 80s. The 240 was a very advanced car. It just handled great. So that was my big excitement. So that's why I always had it back in my mind to get a Datsun 240 or 260, but you can't touch the Datsun 240. So this came out. I helped a friend actually. Interesting story. I had a friend of mine at work. He wanted a Datsun, so I love to spend other people's money. So I went to a guy that had two of these, and my friend somehow he backed out. We looked at the car. We looked at his great deal. It was black. Hasn't been driven for like 10 years. It's been parked. Last time it was on the road is 1978. That's the sticker.
I see this sticker. That's amazing.
That's the last time it was on the road. So the guy had it in a storage location in Bonita. He got two of them. And long story short, the deal didn't work out. My friend backed out. He couldn't buy it. His wife didn't give permission, whatever. So about 4 years later,
There's always wife.
about 3 years
always
later,
wife
3 years later, I said, hey, I told her, John, you still have that Datsun? He goes, yeah. So of course the price went up. So
Wow.
I got the car from him.
Same guy.
Same guy had the car in the storage, and I got the car, good deal, and I started the restoration project. I took it to the engine was seized. They had an automatic transmission, so I took it to a friend of mine. Sat there for about 2 years, you know, deciding what to do, and I just decided to rebuild the engine. The original engine was too much money. On an automatic transmission, I just wanted someone convinced me to do engine swap. So I went to a builder, Up Fabrication, Jamie, Up Fabrication in Cape Coral, and he convinced me to go against the grain. A lot of haters, a lot of purists won't like this, but I convinced to swap in a Toyota 1JZ single turbo engine.
Wow.
Made it to with a Collins adapter plate, made it to a Nissan 350Z CD09 manual 6-speed transmission.
Nice.
With a Serial 9 gated shifter from out of British Columbia. So I went that route, and that's how the story started. You know? And then started with restoration, the engine, transmission, suspension was like, I think it's BC Racing, coilovers all around, Sparco, I think it was Sparco cross braces, strut braces. And then a good friend of mine, really good friend of mine from New York, because I'm from New York, Fran, he's also in Naples, he took the car down to bare metal. Bare metal, every nut and bolt was removed, primed, prepped for rusting, primed, sprayed, and he didn't like it, and he took it all again down to metal, restored everything down to metal, everything was down to metal, windshield out, glass out, everything was out, all the trim was off, sanded it down again to metal, prepped it, and sprayed this beautiful, this is actually a Nissan, original 70s Nissan paint color. I think it's called Nissan Mint Leaf Green.
Already.
But my friend had a nicest twist. He had some pearl. So he mixed the pearl with the paint, the original paint, to bring up everybody likes it, but it's a different look.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful light in the sun picks up the little flakes, so it's actually a pearl inside the original Nissan color, original Nissan paint code. So it's green, but you know, it's kind of like the homage to the colors of the Datsun, that era. The Datsun Z's that were green, orange, you know, white.
Yeah.
But that's why I kind of like it. No, nothing. You don't see a lot of this color in classics cars.
No.
You know, and you know.
You don't see a lot of color in the classic cars. You don't see a lot of Datsuns too.
Yeah, it's different.
I think everything is slowly changing right now as we passing the 25 years old mark, and I know that the rules are loosening up, and a lot of guys are starting traveling to Japan and bringing back some classics.
Bringing the classics, right?
But definitely you were before the.
Yeah, I think so. And I didn't want to make it too modern, like the new gray paints and all that. I want to kind of I want to get crazy, flared out the fenders. And it's almost like a tribute to the 70s Datsun race car in Japan. That a guy goes racing on the weekend, almost like a Paul Newman. When Paul Newman races Datsuns for the years, he was a Datsun race car driver.
Really? I didn't know about
this.
this.
Paul Newman was a great actor, but he was also, people don't notice a lot of, if you're into cars, you know, Paul Newman was a great race car driver, and his cars were Datsun. He has very fast Datsun cars. He raced over the years. So I wanted to make it like a vintage throwback Paul Newman race car.
Yeah.
With, we'd see racing with different, different decals on it. So, and I want to change the paint too much, kind of like keep that period correct kind of paint with a little flare of flake in it, and a little bit of flares, not too wide, and kind of like a vintage. These are Watanabe wheels. These aren't Watanabes, but there's a Japanese wheel called a Watanabes. These are kind of a copy out of Thailand. So it kind of have that period looking. I didn't want to go to big wheels and huge wheels. These are original 14-inch rims. What's wider in the back. So it's it's pretty. And the suspension is original. The suspension of these cars are very advanced for the time. So all we did was change the bushings to urethane bushings.
Yeah.
And tighten up all the suspension. But it's the original suspension's been taken off, sandblasted.
Amazing.
New bushings put on.
Amazing.
New brakes. An interesting thing. The front brakes were single piston calipers. Through the research and forums, I found out guys were putting the Nissan, I think it's the Nissan truck, 4x4 brakes in the front, and they fit right on. Without any adapter kits, I was able to get two pistons in the front, and it converted the back with a kit to a single piston disc with drums in the back. So now it's
okay.
Yeah. So it's pretty. It handles pretty good. It handles very well. It's a fun car to drive. It's like you start it up, you just feel the vibration. And it's the sound of the Toyota 1JZ.
The sound of the engine.
It's beautiful. It's like a throwback to the Datsun and the Mazda race cars. There's that nice, beautiful, high winding Toyota engine. So that's why I like it. It's different than the V8 and the big muscle cars.
Yeah, talking about racing.
Yeah.
I didn't know that Paul Newman was racing Datsun.
There's some great footage of Paul Newman. Paul Newman was a good race car driver. Everyone knocked him because he was an actor, and he got you just can't go from an actor to a race car driver. He was good.
You cannot, or you can.
You can't.
Because that's the story. I'm watching a lot of like historic movies, documentaries, like Steve McQueen.
Steve McQueen, great.
Also, this energy in those guys.
Yeah.
They didn't want to let anybody put them in a box.
No. Steve McQueen was a rebel.
Yeah.
Paul Newman was amazing. He was a great actor, but his passion was race car driving, and he loved it. And he raced for years. He raced, and he was backed by Nissan, like the manufacturer was Nissan sponsored team. But it's don't hold me on this, but I think it was a Nissan team. But he raced Datsuns really nice all through the years, So that's why I kind of always liked the Datsuns, and it's not the run of the mill. Everyone doesn't have a Datsun. It's different. You go to a car show, you may see one Datsun every 5 years. You don't see many, but getting more and more now with the JDM influx.
Now, yes, but you were the first one exactly. You passed me, I remember years ago, one time on the car show. I figure out immediately there's something different.
Yeah.
I figure out what kind of car, but I'm like, whoa, that's unique. What a taste.
Yeah.
What an approach. And I'm like, I cannot wait to chat with this guy to hear the story about this. So
I didn't want to change it too much. I wanted to keep it very OG, So that's an original bumper, original fence. Actually, that's an original bumper right there. It's actually been taken off by my buddy Fran, great body metal artist.
Yeah.
He's literally a metal artist. He took that bumper off. It was in 3 pieces. That's a 3-piece bumper, believe it or not. He molded everything together. It's all welded together, sanded down to make one bumper. There's actually 3 pieces. So same as the back. The back was welded together. It was 3 sections, original from the factory, and he took all the rubber off that was rotted away and made one piece of, and bolted back on. And it's very cool car.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just different. I wanted to keep it mostly original and not change too many of the classic lines it had already.
How long? What was the process? The entire process separating through this different type of speed shops or garages?
I think I had it in 2 shops for mechanical work. Mechanical and restoration. I collected parts. I drive. Forget this hood. I got this hood from 3 hours away from Naples. I didn't have a hood. It was no hood. It was a fiberglass hood that was all cracked. So I couldn't find these cars are prone to rust on the hood in the front because the water drains down. So this hood, Datsun keep their parts pretty consistent over the years. This hood is from a Datsun 280Z. The 240Z and the 260Z did not have this ventilation. Didn't have that ventilation. So it was fit. But actually, when this hood, it was hard to find them. It was a metal hood. my buddy Fran also rebuilt the whole nose of that hood. It's been brand new metal, been grafted on from two hoods to make one hood.
Wow.
Yeah, two hoods to make one hood.
That's big deal.
Yeah,
That's big deal. You touch also those 240s, 260s, 280s for someone who doesn't have any knowledge whatsoever about this. What would you say was the simplest way difference between those cars?
I'm not really good at telling you what the difference were, but I know the straight six, the torque. I mean, I don't know the details of it. Sorry, I'm on the spot, but I always liked the body style, and for the car and the price, they were very advanced compared to other cars in its class in the years.
And that's what I hear that a little bit too. I don't want to touch anything here about Ferrari, anything mean, but I believe that they were comparing them back then.
Actually, this car, if you look at it, the lines, if you look at it, it looks like a Ferrari, a vintage Ferrari and Jaguar together. The slope, the long nose and the short back, how it slopes down, it looks like a vintage Jaguar or Ferrari, kind of. That's what they had. And the Japanese at that time, they were good at kind of copying American cars. They copied a lot of cars, and this car would compete on the weekend against Porsches, Ferraris, and all those cars at that time. They would compete and win. And you could go to the showroom and buy one for $3,000-$4,000 and race in a weekend. And you don't have to spend thousands of dollars of like a Porsche or like a Jaguar, you know. So it was for the time, this car had independent suspension. Most cars of this era didn't have independent suspension. I mean, that's how advanced they were. They were good at taking all the elements of European cars and making it the Japanese way. Simple, but functional and very precise, you know. So that's what I think, my idea of the whole thing. But I mean, just the aerodynamics of it. I mean, it's just how it slopes back, and it looks like a vintage 60s race car, you know. And they raced very well back then. They did very well, surprisingly. You know, the other cars had high horsepower on the straightaways, but in the handling, the corners, these cars would annihilate them just from the handling, you know. Well, I always liked car shows. I mean, I lived in my own New Yorker, so I lived in New York for my whole life until we moved to Texas in 2008. But I tell you, the weather in New York is not favorable for car shows. You have a small season, you know, in the spring, in the fall, in the summer. But I used to go to a place called Bear Mountain, New York, in the mountains. Every Wednesday night, it's a car cruise to Bear Mountain, New York, and that's when you see everything. Beautiful, in the middle of the New York mountains, the Hudson Valley region, cars from every kind of generation, Lamborghini to classic American, everything. So that was a meet, a couple of buddies, we go there, have a beer and a burger, watch the cars, and we drive home. It was beautiful, right in the mountains, you know.
And that's the story. You mentioned just the word cruising. That's what I like. And we had some nice car shows here around. They were getting bigger and bigger. Enjoying them a lot. I mean, I'm always running with a camera, chatting with all those guys. The stories behind the cars is amazing.
Right.
But when you mentioning cruising, that's what I miss, and I would like to do something like that. The cruising is really when you're hopping from place to place. You see, and I just chat with the two other guys exactly the past 2 episodes about something called also reliability run, which is great idea too. Of course, more for classic cars, hot rods from 30s or 40s. You know, this way you can really check those cars or how they are reliable on the road. What you can plan, what kind of road trip with them. I did road trip like also with one of my friends to Austin, Texas for Lone Star Roundup and back 2,600 miles. So you gotta get ready for something like that. You gotta prepare your car.
Your rig has got to be in good shape. Your rig has to be in good shape.
You gotta know your car. You gotta know what kind of parts you should have with you. What you should know how to fix which parts, and definitely.
It's definitely got to think the whole
but
process.
Cruising. So what about those cruising?
Well, cruising is it's all, people go to car show. You see a car show. You see a guy. It's a whole thing behind it. It's like it's all builds up. The night before, here you go. You call your buddy. Are we going to the car show tomorrow? Yeah. What time are you gonna be there? You know, we prep. Sometimes we meet at a coffee shop or we meet some. It's the whole experience, not just going to a car show and you sit there and you put a bunch of trophies and you sit there and you show off. That's not, it's a whole passion. Like you get it charged up the night before. You get adrenaline. You know, you talk about where you're gonna meet. Guys show up. It's like it takes the stress away. Like life gets simple. All you hear is the cars and the sound of the engine and your buddy's there with his car and something may be wrong. You help him get it something before the show. You fix something. You know, it's all a good feeling. You know, and you ride together to make sure someone breaks down. You help them. And it's not nice to the camaraderie, you know, the camaraderie behind the shows. And you go to a show. I'm not a guy to go to a car show and sit behind my car with a chair and a bunch of trophies. I don't like to be around my car. I'm very modest. I don't get a car because look at my car. I just like the passion behind the whole thing. And everybody's car is special. Doesn't matter, not because you don't like the model. That's his passion. He likes it. That's his thing. This is my
you
thing.
will find always different person to
People say, oh,
fit
that's
the
an ugly car. No, it's not an ugly car. To you, maybe that's his car. That's his passion.
yeah.
So I respect that, you know.
Yeah.
So I respect everyone's passion for their cars, their model, whatever they do, whatever things they do may think may be ugly to somebody else. That's their passion. That's their liking. So, but it's
like
nice
the
to-
rat rods.
Yeah, that's right,
rusty
rat rods.
cars.
Exactly.
Somebody
so, I
would
mean,
say paint it or this or
Right,
that,
right.
but no, it's rat rod. That's
to me,
the
yeah,
style.
It's
That's
perfectly
the-
said rat rods,
yeah.
right? Like a buddy of mine, Fran, he has a lot of classic cars, right? And a lot of patina on them. It's like to me, in my mind, it sounds corny, but when a car has a patina on it, a classic American car, whatever,
Yeah.
and it's patina and rust and paint falling off, it's a piece of rolling art. It's
Rolling,
a rolling art.
is the story.
It's-
You're
yeah.
reading the story about this
It's like
car.
a rolling
on that.
piece of art. That's the time it through the years, it weathered the storms, hail, whatever.
Yeah.
And someone brought it back and have it running. That's cool. It's like you cannot duplicate that look of that paint where it's faded, where it's rusted.
Yeah.
Every car has a rust in a different spot, a paint chip in a different spot. It's a piece of history. It's luck. And once you change that, it's a big thing you have to be careful with a classic car. If you want to keep it patina, if you change it, you'll never get it back. No matter how hard you try, you cannot
Yeah.
get back that look. So, you know, people look at a car, it's all rusty, it's ugly. They don't look behind that. That's a piece of history. It's like a painting,
Yeah.
right? It's a painting by nature. Nature's the weather, storms, rust, tree falling out and giving it a dent. It's a piece of art. So
Yeah.
it's created by nature. So, I mean, going back to cars, I mean, my first car was a 1971 Pontiac Le Mans. That was my first car.
Nice.
Beautiful.
All right.
Big American car, big V8 350. You know, I love that car. I mean, I got big tires on it, jacked the back up, and you know, put a Hurst shifter in the middle. You know, that was my dream. Everything I tinker with it, waxed it, cleaned the wheels. That's all
Nice.
my whole routine was go to work, go to on the weekends, clean the car, wax the car, go to my second job. That was it. You know,
Yeah.
and save up money for a little gadget, whatever. You know,
Uh-huh.
different rims or different steering wheel or whatever. You know, so that was always my car passion. So, I mean, I had tons of cars. I always liked cars and people around cars.
That's
You know,
the story again. You touching those little things in your story which are kind of connected all together. That the car wasn't just for you transportation from
No,
point
no.
A to B, where we slowly kind of moving
Yeah,
with the electric
yeah.
cars and everything else, which is totally fine.
Yeah, it's
but
fine.
there is still the older world, the automotive world, the car enthusiasts, the car collectors, which using car as something like to relax for on the weekends, to drive somewhere, to cruise. I
Yeah.
love the idea of cruising. Exactly. I think we should do.
It's
something
enjoying
like
something that's very cool, you know, like, and you get conversation. The best part about cars and collecting and restoring and going to shows is the conversation you have with people.
that. Yeah.
Don't matter what color, what race, what age, what language, what stature in life you're at,
Yeah.
if you're a pilot, surgeon, whatever, when you're at a car show or a car meet, anything car enthusiast related, everyone's on the same level. Everyone's speaking the same language. You know, they compliment each other, you know, and that, how did you do this? And it gives you a kind of like a high when someone asks you, how did you do that? I like how you did this to the car. I like how you did that. And you ask them the same thing, you know, and ask them, how long have you had it? You know, what you suggest? I'm thinking of getting into this car. What do you think? What's the pitfalls?
Yeah.
What do you suggest? It's great to talk to somebody and see their story, how they came by the car. It may be passed down from a grandfather, which is great. It's a family heirloom, you know.
Yeah.
They pass it down for generations. They keep that car. It's not just a car. You know, it's something like a family heirloom, like a classic ring from a grandmother to a grandchild. It's something like that. Guys and girls too that like cars. That you get the passion for it, and people are on the same level, having the same conversations, and they go
But
home.
I'm always learning that doesn't matter how much knowledge you have, there's always something where you can learn.
Exactly.
Or to going to those car shows, you can always also like get slightly like inspired or have some different new
That's the big
vision
thing,
for your
right?
car.
Right.
Or some
Sometimes
new
your
car.
project is working out. You
Yeah.
kind of get stalled. You get like you get demoralized. You don't want to do the project anymore. You get defeated by the project. It's too tough. And you go to a car show and you get re-energized.
Yeah.
Passion comes back. It's inspiring. Look, you know what? Look at this guy. He's doing this. I got my
Yeah.
project. I got to keep going my project. Keep going. And it kind of gives you inspiration. And it's also you can inspire other people. When you talk to somebody, you see your car and they're like, oh man, I feel like giving up. You know, I don't think this thing is beating me up. You know, it's really beating me up. Like, no, you just keep a little time. You just do this, do that. Concentrate on mechanicals first, and then you do the body work after. You know, keep going. It's a piece of art. You know, you don't finish it right away. It's not something you need to drive to work.
No time pressure.
Right,
yeah.
right. So and you talk with people, and you get ideas, and it makes you may have a problem or you're stumped on something about your car for like months or a year, and you go to a show and you see that one guy that has all the information that he overcame this big obstacle with some brake part or this thing he needs to modify, and then boom, you get his number. He gives you some help for free, and there's no no price or no like you have to pay him back. He helps you with something that's difficult, that's been beating you up, and next thing you have your problem solved. You feel so good. You feel like energized again.
Yeah.
So it's that's the nice thing about car shows. The passion is a brotherhood, camaraderie. Everyone helps you the other out. You know, you get things solved. Like you know, someone may say, "Hey, I'll come over and help you," which is great. You stumped at something. You need two people to help you.
Yeah.
Comes over and helps you. You know, I met all of my good friends in life is from cars.
Wow.
All my good friends I met through cars. Perfect example, you. I met you at a car.
Yeah.
I met my friend, my best friend from New York I met him at a car show.
Met on the car show. And what is funny about car shows, you know, there is always season, not season, the slower part of the year. Here you never know, and I'm like, as much as I have time, I'm always trying to attend every single one of them.
Yeah.
Because sometimes can be 5-8 cars in the car show. It will be very slow during of even summer here in the Florida or something like that. But there will be still few unique people, few unique cars, you know. So it never pass on it.
And that's what I like about Florida. I lived in New York. I lived in Texas. When I moved from New York to Texas, the car culture in Texas was amazing.
Oh yeah.
Because the weather was great.
Yeah.
So it was always sunny out. A lot of big. The Texas, everything is big. Life is big. The sky is big. The car culture is huge. Real nice guys. I still every day get a good morning text from my friend Ed Petty from Texas. Cars. We met at a car show. Became good friends. My other friend is actually Iraqi veteran. Cars. I met him at a car show. We talk about it still this day. We text each other what's going on with his cars, how he's doing, you know. And then same thing with here. That's what I love about Florida. Car culture here is great because the weather's great.
Yeah.
And it's just the weather helps when you have a classic car, and you meet tons of people from all over the country that come here. They move here, whatever, or they come seasonally, and they have these unique cars you've never seen. And the one time you say, I'm not going to that car show, your buddy texts you like, listen, look what I just saw this show. You missed one of the most unique things you haven't seen. You might have seen it in magazines for years, and then you go one show you missed, you see this car, like, wow, you know. And then plus the swap meets. You go to swap meets and you're looking for these parts. That's the part too. That's the excitement.
I'm still learning about those ones, and I like this idea exactly.
Yeah, swap meets.
First time when I experienced bigger way, I think that was Daytona Turkey Run.
Yes. You know, and
that was pretty nice size too.
Swap meets are really cool. I drug my wife to a swap meet. She wanted to kill me. But it's just the cool thing of finding this part that someone doesn't use anymore, or they change their mind and they go to a different direction. And you get this part. Let's get real. Cars are expensive to restore and keep going, right?
Definitely.
It could be expensive, but it doesn't have to be. You can go to a swap meet and barter with somebody else, trade him another part for another part, or you find this unique part you've been looking for forever, and you get a great deal at it. You know, you get a good, you bring it home, it's like you go fishing, you get a fish.
Yeah.
You come home with this big haul of stuff. My buddy Fran had this beautiful 71, I think, Chevelle convertible, gorgeous Lamborghini orange, and went with it to a car show. We came back with tires, wheels, fenders, everything. The whole car was full of stuff, like metal next to our head. But you get the excitement, you know. You go to these meets and swap meets, and you get all these cool parts. And I got a pair of mirrors from a swap meet 5 years ago. 5 years ago, I got the mirrors. I finally got the car 5 years later.
Yeah, nice.
You know, so and you see different things too. It's like, I can adapt it to my car. You know, it's not.
Yeah.
You know, you get good deals, and you get ideas. You know, you get contacts for people who might be doing special things that you know about, like special customization, whatever.
Yeah.
It's good. It's all around the car culture, car shows, and the car mentality, the camaraderie. It's all connected. It's all connected. You know, you kind of you meet people I haven't seen for 3-4 years. You remember me at a car swap meet, or I met you at a car show. So that's the kind of thing behind the whole car culture. I think it's worst hobbies you can have. There's a lot worse hobbies you can have. I mean, everyone, you go to a show, and I've met all my best friends through going to car shows. Even before I had a car that I show a car. I don't like to say I have a show car. I have a car that I'm passionate about. I restored it with really good friends of mine that helped me, and I love driving it to car shows. It's just to meet the people, and it's the whole culture behind the whole thing. So a lot of my good friends are, I mean, if you're into guns and shooting, you have good friends. It's your thing. Car show, same thing. A lot of people they're into cars, and you got to kind of follow that trend with car shows and friends. And we go to we go to a restaurant with a car show outside the front door.
Yeah.
So it's kind of nice,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about, you know.
Good time. Yeah, I mean, I would definitely tell you, nice chat.
Yeah.
Once again, thank you
It's
for
been
joining
great.
me.
It's been great.
Cannot wait to drive this
Yeah.
little monster here, and I mean the sound of that. How you
Yeah, I do like the
mentioned.
sound.
Yeah.
I do like the sound.
Amazing.
It's
engine.
a little loud for my community, but I try to cruise out of here very quiet because I have, you know, a lot of neighbors and they're elderly, so I don't like to make a lot of noise and be one of those neighborhood bullies. So I cruise out very slowly before I get
You
in the road.
never race anywhere on the
No.
tracks or
No,
some track
no.
strips.
I'm not a race car. I'm
Uh-huh.
a big wimp. I don't race.
Yeah.
I'm a nervous Nelly. I don't
Uh-huh.
race. I might get on this car a little bit, you know, shifting through the gears, but not. I
Yeah.
like to watch racing. I love to
Yeah.
go to racing, but I've never had the passion. It's just always gonna start pouring. It's white. Never had to race, you know, at all.
Yeah.
So, but it's nice to see the young generation. Oh man, we have
Yeah.
to bail.
All right.
The young generation
Picking up, yeah,
They're
yeah.
picking up. They're bringing the car. You see a young
Definitely.
20-year-old going to a car show with an
Yeah.
86 BMW. It's nice, you know.
Yeah.
You don't have to put a car back.
All right, let's take a ride. Thank you so much for your time, Ashton.
You too, Peter.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.